may be eaten by his pet lion, right? Every animal, no matter how, if they're super hungry, they'll do whatever it takes to eat. So that's one. You could also just argue, if you wanted to be a little nicer, that Luke's lion is starving, or he's hungry, right? Or we could go with the Luke is going to get eaten by his pet lion, right? Those are all more specific things using deductive reasoning. So which one do you want to go with? Huh? You have to be louder. What? Luke may be eaten by his lion. Is that right, Luke? I'll just put Luke's lion, maybe hungry. First block. Let's not be morbid, okay? Or if you wanted to put the other one, that's fine. So that's an example of deductive reasoning. Very general. He's hungry, he has a lion. He got eaten, right? Something more specific. The police arrive at the scene of a crime. Okay. And then there are muddy footprints into a house. So the police arrive and they see muddy footprints going into the house. But when they get in there, all the other doors and windows are still locked. So what would be something more specific I could conclude? What do muddy footprints mean? Yeah, there's a foot track showing that the suspect went through the front door, right? There's no way to lock a window from the outside, right? So he didn't go through the window, go out the back door, because all of those are still locked. So what can we conclude? You what? Louder? The suspect's still in there? Yeah, that could be true. He could be hiding in a room, right? Now, it also didn't say if there's, like maybe he wiped off his mud inside the house, or maybe he ran, left his shoes in the house and took off. So there's two conjectures, and it's really your choice. One, what Christina said. The suspect is still in the house. Or two, what else could you make a conjecture about? If he went in the front door, he may have it doesn't say anything about a key, but he went in the front door and he also escaped out the front door, right? Just because you have muddy footprints on the way in doesn't mean you have muddy footprints on the way out. Mud does dry. So here's something even more specific my class came up with. So another conjecture could just be the suspect went through the front door to get in. If all the windows are locked and the back door's locked, that the suspect went through the front door. Right? Could be. Kind of like yours better though, Christina, that the suspect might still be in the house, right? Let's do that one. Mr. Parker made, that's why it says Mr. Parker. I left his name in there. I like giving credit where credit's due. Mr. Parker has a Diet Coke. Mr. Parker, and that's not me by the way, Mr. Parks. A lot of people have no idea, so he's Dr. Parker now. Mr. Parker has Diet Coke. Mr. Parker has a bag of gummy bears. Mr. Parker is in his recliner. It's like a chair you sit in that you could sit back, like movie theaters have them too. A recliner. You know what I mean by recliner? Recline just means go back. So he has a Diet Coke in his hand, and in the other hand he has a bag of gummy bears. He's in his recliner. What do we know about Mr. Parker? He's what? He's about to eat? Yeah? You can conclude that. When I sit in the recliner, and I have a drink, and I have a snack, then... Huh? He what? He falls? Oh, he falls back? Like he falls back and gummy bears and Diet Coke is everywhere? Well, something very specific. That's a fair conjecture. Maybe his recliner was broken. Okay, yeah, maybe he's getting ready to watch a movie or a TV show. He could be at a movie theater. Last year we put Mr. Parker is relaxing. Right? All of those were fine. Please don't feel like you can't put your own. Mr. Parker is about to relax or is relaxing. So we talked about two different types of reasoning. One was inductive. And the other was deductive. Which one do you think is stronger? Do you think these arguments, this whole page was deductive? Do you think these arguments are stronger? Or do you think these that were inductive are stronger? This one? Deductive? So deductive, you're going from something broad to something very specific. So, an example, if I was inductive reasoning would be my dog chews on bones, his dog chews on bones, therefore all dogs chew on bones. That would be inductive reasoning. But deductive would be all dogs chew on bones, so Austin's dog chews on bones. Broad to specific. Okay? So yes, deductive reasoning, you're correct, is more likely to be true. It's a stronger argument. And usually deductive is based on. So we're going to say deductive reasoning is stronger because it's going from something more general to specific. And don't think that just because it's stronger that it's always true. There are many deductive conjectures, reasoning that are false. But more times than not, deductive is a stronger argument. And deductive is usually based off facts, whereas inductive is based off patterns. So what I want you to do, and we're going to finish part of this tomorrow, where we talk about the difference between a weak and a strong, and we'll talk about counterexamples. So we're not done with these notes yet. But really all I wanted you to learn today was how to apply inductive and deductive reasoning. We'll take care of strong and weak and counterexamples at another time. Now next would be the worksheet, but I kind of feel that I would just pay attention to this. I kind of feel like we need a few more examples. And so the goal of the homework is to pick, is it inductive or deductive? Inductive is going from specific to general. It's like guessing or looking for a pattern. Deductive is usually based off facts, definitions, properties, and then you're reaching a conclusion to show a statement is true. So let's say we have 7 examples. Let's go through each one. And please, if you think that it's deductive, like Mr. Parks is saying inductive, last year there were some of these questions where I went and asked 7 or 8 different math teachers. And I said, do you think it's deductive or inductive? And half said one or the other. Now, there are some examples that are very clearly one inductive or one deductive, but there are some that you could argue either way. Okay, but we'll try to put down the best answer. So a chemistry experiment produces the same result 20 times. So I do this experiment, I do it once, I do it again, I do it again, I do it again, I do it again, and I keep getting the same result. You conclude that it will always be the same result. Inductive, because kind of like her dog chews on bones, her dog chews on bones, your dog chews on bones, so all dogs chew on bones. It's the same example. So you did an experiment 20 times, you got the same result 20 times, and you conclude that it will always produce the same result. It's going from specific to general. Maybe you need to put that in your notes, but this is smaller to bigger, and this is bigger to smaller. Yeah, I would go with inductive. Tim is Veronica's cousin. Okay. That's something kind of specific. Since David is Veronica's twin brother, Tim is also David's cousin. Tim, okay, so we got Tim and Veronica, they're cousins. And then David is Veronica's twin brother, so David and Veronica are twins. So we have these 2 twins and a cousin, and we're trying to conclude that Tim is also David's cousin. Do you think we're going from general to specific or specific to general? What do you guys think? Who thinks deductive? Big to small? Anyone? Small to big? Anyone? Inductive? Inductive? I personally think you could argue either way. But also kind of deductive is using known facts. So you could argue that Tim is Veronica's cousin is a fact. And then David is Veronica's twin brother, that's a fact. And so Tim is also David's cousin. That would be a fact. If you're related, if you two are related, and you two are related, then all 3 of you are related. Right? Can't you argue that somehow? And then you got stepbrother, stepsister. So I would pick, but I think if I had to pick, I think I would go with deductive. Because you're talking about relationship. I think you're going to a more broader relationship. So I'm going to put deductive, but that would be one on a test that I might give credit for either one. Okay? This is definitely inductive. This one I can see the argument both ways. The school librarian notices that many students are requesting books about different countries in Africa. Okay? And then she makes a conclusion that one of the social studies classes must be studying about Africa. So I think the key word here is that one, right? And then going for many. So look for those words. You're going many to one, right? So who cares what the rest is saying? You're going from something broad to something specific. And by definition, that would be deductive is broad to specific. Okay? Actually, you're right. Deductive. Good. So whenever I would pay attention to the words in the sentence. Does that make sense as to why it's deductive? Going from many students to just one. But then you could argue that we're going from to one class, and class is broader than students, so maybe it's inductive is the best answer. Julie looks at a pattern, and the pattern in the sequence is 1, 3, 9, 27. And she notices to get the next number, you just multiply the previous term by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, a pattern. 27 times 3 is 81, and 81 times 3 is 243. That's her conclusion. Deductive or inductive? Which one? Deductive? Well, she notices a pattern. And I hope you know that just because the first 4 numbers are 1, 3, 9, 27, and each of these is multiplied by 3, that does not mean the next number is multiplied by 3. Anytime you're talking about patterns and making a general result, like a conclusion, it's going to be inductive. Okay? So anytime you're talking about patterns, just think to yourself that's inductive. Because you're making a general conclusion about what the next numbers are going to be based off very specific numbers. Does that make sense? Given the sequence 19, 23, 21, you conclude that the next term will be the pattern. You're going from a pattern, making a general statement, so that would also be inductive. We know, doesn't mean this is true by the way, we know that all men are mortal. Is that true? Huh? Mortal? Anyone know what mortal means? What? Yeah, that's saying that all men can't die. You live forever. Obviously that's false. But when you're doing these, you don't look to see if they're false or not, okay? Yet. So let's say that all men are mortal. We're going from all. John's a man, so John must be mortal. Deductive. We're going from all to specific. Now, to make this true, we would say that we know that all men are immortal. But since John is a man, John is immortal, right? That would be a true statement. But it is false, but it's still deductive. You're going from general to specific. Bless you. Here's one. All. If the people that you met in town are very strange, you conclude that everyone in the town is very strange. You're strange, you're strange, you're strange, you're strange, you're strange, you're all. So I think everyone in the school is strange. You're not all strange. But you get it, right? So, yes. You're going from noticing that this person, this person, this person are strange to concluding that everyone in the town is strange. So that would be inductive. Good. Any questions about inductive versus deductive reasoning? Well, that's what I want you to do. Our target for today was apply inductive, and deductive. Reasoning.